Pro Cannabis Media.
Live from the Visual Radio TV studios in Quincy, Massachusetts, it's We Talk Live with Kurt Dalton from Cannabis.net and Jimmy Young from ProCannabisMedia.com.
Yeah, I want to actually give you guys.
Here we thought we were going to bring food to us. Like right now, now we get T-shirts.
So you said
A few articles on Cannabis.net about margin compression and how I think when this 2 to 3 years out, we're going to see the price of this flower come down, down, down.
Hey. Welcome to another edition of Weed Talk Live. I'm the founder of Pro Cannabis Media. My name is Jimmy Young.
And I'm Kurt Dalton from Cannabis.net.
And Cannabis.net and Pro Cannabis Media are very happy to welcome in a new co-host to our program. She did such a great job with us last month that we brought back Hillary King to sit next to us. And, there she is. She's transparent. And you know what? That's awesome. Oh, there we go.
Yes. Some wizardry there.
God, don't we love that, though?
Wizard.
Hey, Hillary, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Happy to be here.
And really happy that you are joining us as well. First of all, it definitely brings down the average age of the three hosts, let's just say, right?
We're almost cool.
And the testosterone level,
Yes.
I thought you guys could use a little female touch.
We definitely need a female touch for sure.
Hey.
And, get out the whip. You might want to get out the whip for us. But anyway, I really appreciate you joining us, and I think we'll have a lot of fun with this. Well, again, we want to thank our sponsors. We have sorry I said that word. We want to thank our supporters of Weed Talk, and it is Legal Seafoods, it is the Weedjits, and it is Caroline'sCannabis.com. And we will get into a little bit more about Weedjits, Caroline's Cannabis, and Legal Seafood. Of course, everybody knows Legal Seafood. You actually saw a little clip with Roger Berkowitz, the CEO, who was on our show earlier in our lifetime. Would that be right? But we've got a lot of guests coming on tonight. We've got a group of people from the Alchemy League who just got their provisional license after a vicious fight over almost 2 years, and they'll be in studio joining us in the second hour. And we also have an entertainer and a comedian and a very old friend of mine named Mike Pettit. He'll be joining us at the bottom of the bottom of the hour here. And we also have an old friend from one of our associates and a affiliate partner of Pro Cannabis Media. His name is Rich Guerra. He'll be joining us in studio as well. So that's kind of our show for tonight. But what do we talk about here? Kurt, what do we talk about here?
Events happening today, Jimmy. Events about cannabis.
Yes.
So what's going on today? What's the big news?
It's all things weed, right?
That's true.
It's all things weed. And we've had a few developments in the world of cannabis. In fact, I don't know if we have a breaking. We don't have a breaking news stinger. Right, breaking news. Kurt, let's go to our newsroom with Kurt Dalton. Kurt,
we're here live.
That's right. Tell us what happened with High Times.
So we have High Times. Those of you familiar with the brand, the iconic magazine has been going through some restructuring. Starting last week, naming Stormy Simon from Overstock.com their new CEO.
Wait a second. I interviewed her.
Yeah, well, she's the new CEO. They have a new president.
Wait, hang on a second.
Yep.
Dan French, who's our producer, he and we hung out with Stormy. She's awesome. I didn't know that the new CEO.
She's the CEO.
Oh, I think we'll be putting together that interview fast.
Good. Well,
okay.
Good. She seems like she's super excited.
She's an incredible story.
Yes, she is. She does have a good story.
Whoa. The story, rather than tell the story. Go ahead.
Okay, so then we also have a new president that was put in a few days ago, but the big announcement a few hours ago, or at least the press release, was the High Times will be, depending on what my sources are telling me, either licensing or actually buying a dispensary starting in Las Vegas as well as Los Angeles. That will be a High Times dispensary. It will have High Times endorsed products, high quality cannabis products, as they're saying right now, as well as High Times paraphernalia, shirts, stuff like that. Details are coming in from my sources, people wanting to know opinions. There's some inside sources wondering how this would affect someone like Planet 13. I'm going to go and say it affects MedMen more as a battle than Planet 13 itself. But again, this is all happening right now, so we hope maybe we can get Stormy on next
100% the month, okay? Sure. I can tell you this. We have a 15-minute interview, 20-minute interview, including her whole story, on an In the Weeds podcast that we will be releasing in the next week.
Might want to get that up.
Well, no. By the way, this is so right. This is so typical in television and co-hosts. You know, I talked to Kurt a bunch of times during the week, and then we hung out a little bit. Right? Did I know that Stormy was the new CEO? No, I did not until you told me.
All right, there you go. Well,
Which is very cool. And I will tell you that I'm also proud of the fact that I actually shared a blunt with the CEO.
Oh, boy. There we go. She's not coming on now.
Now,
So we'll get the other guy.
That's right. No. That's great news. I'm really happy for her. And I tell you, this is a woman who really came from nothing and now is the CEO of probably the biggest brand in cannabis. Hillary, what is your cannabis story?
My cannabis story. Well, originally I got started as a patient, so like I was never a stoner. I was never a recreational consumer or didn't really smoke until
as a kid. You told me, right?
Maybe like a handful of times in college, but it was never.
And you didn't inhale.
It was never a part of my life, really, And
Right.
I literally won a DARE award in middle school.
Oh, that's all right.
So like now that the totally different story. But 27 years old, I became a patient, a medical cannabis patient, where I was getting prescribed prescriptions and these other interventions that just didn't feel natural. And had side effects, and somebody in my life intervened and brought me to the doctor to get my medical card, and showed me his plants that he was growing for his mother who had cancer, and gave me access to this plant, and taught me the beginnings of what I now know about cannabis. And I kind of got woke to the harms of prohibition and the challenges of people accessing cannabis and for medical reasons, and kind of that's how I got involved. I just got passionate about it, and I wanted to kind of help other people see the light and navigate and figure out how to incorporate it into their lives instead of pharmaceuticals and surgeries and things like that.
And opioids. A friend, actually someone we all know, Mark Shepard, the NECAN guy, one of the co-founders, along with Jeff Lawrence, is having his knee replaced on February 4th, I think it is. I just talked to him today, so why I know this stuff is he and I are having lunch on Monday. I love to drop names, but my story begins at his event in March of 2018 when I took my little... Well, it should have been a tape recorder. It should have been a cassette recorder, given my era, because that's what you used to do as a reporter, is walk around with your microphone and your cassette recorder. But it was the iPhone and an adapter with a microphone, and interviewed Jordan Tischler and interviewed Stu Zakem and met Deirdre Revito, our friend from Rev Clinics. And it's amazing all those people are still part of the world, and they've been supporting Pro Cannabis Media all this time. And it's nice to look back at that and realize, well, those were really good people, and there are a lot of good people in the cannabis community, aren't there?
Absolutely.
And Hillary, you're one of them, because I've already checked you out. I did due diligence on you, and everybody likes Hillary.
All right.
And you're going to review some products for us a little later, and we're going to get into the innovative mind of the cannabis advocate. Because, Kurt, you know this. You've been around longer than all of us as far as in the business. The inventions, how these people come up with different things to either consume or not consume, or there are all sorts of ways to consume.
Yeah, and you're just seeing micro niche revolutions like with the vaping crisis and the things that are going to come out of that with how product is tested, heated, what is it put into. So even though we have these events that are seen at the time as a negative, it leads to new discoveries as far as how to take in the product safely. So that there will be good things that come from that vaping.
And once again, I forgot my widget. I'm sorry, but I can explain what that is. It's basically a four-piece pipe-looking device that has a 4 filtration system in it, and basically it takes the temperature of the bowl and the cannabis flower that you would ignite with a butane, a lighter. It's a lighter. It's a Bic lighter. And we'll explain why I'm smiling, because I didn't know what a wick was. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm old school. And it takes it from, I believe, a 1,300 Fahrenheit temperature down to 80 degrees when it goes into your lungs. So it's a cooling effect. It actually it feels on the draw like a vape. So it's nice and easy, and then off you go, and it gets out all of those filters. Easy to clean it after every use, because it's really easy to do that. And you have replaceable filters and replaceable screens. And the screens are like colanders, little teeny weeny colanders. I'm sure you understand. I'm sure people out there who are weed enthusiasts understand what I'm talking about. And it's a great little product. And by the way, I don't know, we need a drum roll for this, but if you decide to make a purchase on Weedgets.com, that's weed, WEED, Gets, GETS.com. This product was developed by a registered nurse, Beth Dost, and a biomechanical engineer who has done very well in the medical device world. And they combined their knowledge and they came up with this system. It's a filtration system. And again, a perfect example of another invention. We've got a few other inventions, kind of little ones that we're going to talk about too. Okay. But that's it. Now let's go to the news. Besides High Times,
yep.
Okay, there was a few other things that happened in the news of cannabis, and it does. I think the first thing we're going to talk about is the proposed regulatory and tax reforms in California, looking to make life simpler for the marijuana businesses. Now, there's a proposal out there. Massachusetts has had 1 year of adult use of cannabis and sale of cannabis. Every state has a different law. And if you look at California, they've been doing it longer. I think they've had medical cannabis first and then Colorado and Washington State. I'm not quite sure. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, California's had it for like 25 years.
95.
The
I think it was 1995 with Steve D'Angelo right in the middle, right?
So
right in the
people
middle.
don't know that. Like California's had medical for decades. And
right.
It's been smaller, but they started it.
Do you think they know that 80% of the illicit market comes from the Emerald Triangle, though?
Absolutely. They're very aware of that, yes. Everyone is, actually, yes.
And this is the crazy thing about this, the historical end of prohibition of cannabis. You can look at the mature markets, but even in those mature markets, you have a vibrant, illegal, illicit, black, gray, whatever word you want to use to describe it, market going on. Hillary, you got any insight on that? I think you might.
The traditional market, some would say. I've heard it called recently the legacy market. Yeah, there's a whole culture, and a whole, local network of the cannabis industry that, I personally have never shopped at a dispensary in Massachusetts. They don't. I'm not trying to start paying retail prices plus taxes, which I would happily pay taxes if the prices would fall.
But you had a medical condition, I thought.
Yeah, but I used a caregiver
Aha.
and then became one myself as well and learned how to grow my own. So
Gotcha.
there are other ways to get your cannabis than going to a dispensary.
Right.
Dispensaries are great and they provide a lot of benefits, such as, all the safety screenings, exactly what you're getting. It's all tested. But many people have their networks that they know and trust. They know their grower. Where do you think people have been getting their weed from for
the parking lot
for decades? It's like this is a fully functioning
Where are you
industry.
getting your weed from for the last 20 years, Jimmy?
Parking lots,
Right?
basically. It's where I meet people. Parking lots. But you're right. You've got to learn trust. And that goes to the whole culture of cannabis, even before it became legal. There was a socialization factor of it. If you were committing an act of civil disobedience by breaking the law, by partaking in this product around the corner in the back, and another stranger was there, you would share. You would say, hey, you want a hit, right? And then you become weed brothers.
It brings people together.
It totally
connects
does.
people, yeah.
And it brings people together because, as my Rastafarian friend told me, it's all about the plant, man. Mm-hmm. It is. It's the plant. And there are people out there, like the Rastas, who embrace this plant as a savior in many ways to so many ills that we've seen in our world. And I'm on record and ran it by a few doctors and oncologists thinking they definitely prohibited the wrong drug in 1937. And you can look at that and say, wow, we've been looking for what caused cancer, what started cancer. Well, when you take a product that is it engages with a endocannabinoid system in all mammals that basically balances your neurotransmitters for your pain, and it enhances your immune system. You take that away from 3 generations, 1937 to now, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think is going to
happen? Your
happen?
body is going to be more susceptible to the carcinogens that we see in our environment on a daily basis. But because it had no fight, it had nothing going for it. And for some reason, I'm still healthy. I know that sounds weird, but I mean,
You look great.
thanks. I appreciate it. Thank God. It's all I got left.
45 looks good on you.
Yeah. Right. About 17 years ago. Was it 27 years ago?
Cannabis, the
Who's
anti-aging. Right, exactly.
So one of the things Hillary's going to do for us, besides talk about cannabis and some of the news, is you're going to have a few product reviews. And, people, I hope at some point when we build our audience and our following, people will enlighten us about the latest thing that's on the market, whether that is and I'm not going to promote dabbing, but if it is a rig of some kind, back in the day, it was rolling joints, a pipe, and a bong. That was pretty much it, right? And, of course, bongs are water pipes, and that's how we did it back then. Now, you've got a million different ways to do it.
So many different ways.
And a lot of people, when I first went into the medical dispensary that everybody knows about that is just outside of Boston, I'm not going to name them because I'm going to rip them here. The patient, I said to the patient advocate who was behind the counter as opposed to the bar, and I said to him, I don't want to smoke it anymore. I just don't want to smoke it anymore. What other ways are there? I walk out of there with tincture, edible, suppository. No, not a suppository.
Walking differently.
But a pill, a capsule. And I experimented with different ones, and I had a chocolate bar, and I took too much of the chocolate bar, and I had a really bad edible experience because I think most people who have enjoyed this product, when they try the edibles for the first time, they have an edible story.
Well, it's easy to take too much, if you don't know exactly the potency. There can be hot spots where it's not thoroughly mixed in. If it's not labeled and tested, like, how do you really, really know? Yeah, you can easily have a bad experience if you eat a little too much of a brownie or...
Right.
Yeah.
And one of our dear friends on this, I'm not going to name his name, but he told me a great story that he went to an event that had brownie bites, and he didn't realize that they were infused brownie bites. So let's just say that he had an experience.
Yeah.
Wait, what if he walked into an event and he didn't know they were brownies? He just thought they were giving out
regular
brownies?
It's just they look like
was
brownie
it a Grateful
bites.
Dead show or
they
something?
Tasted like brownie bites, and
I didn't know.
And because of the delayed reaction when you take it into your system that way,
about an hour or two.
Everybody feels like, I got to take more because I don't feel it because they're so used to. Well, I know if I smoke it and I take a hit off a bong or a hit off a joint, I'm going to get high. I'm going to feel immediate. Right? I mean...
And about how long it's going to last. It's a little more predictable.
Definitely. In fact, not only is it predictable now, Hillary, but you can actually grow specific DNAs. You can dictate the DNA of a plant. You can make it hemp. You can make it totally impotent. That's what I call hemp. Or you can make it for focus, help you to sleep. Or it can... kill your pain. I mean, there can be more CBD than THC in it. It's an amazing thing to me that at this day and age, you can actually go see a cannabis expert like our friend Dr. Ryan Zachlin, right? And he can prescribe to you a plan of the type of cannabis and how you should partake and intake with it. And it blows my mind. But think about it. It's a medicine. Most people in this country, and there's more states that have... agreed to start medical cannabis campaigns than adult use. That's changing. I know there's a news tidbit that I want Kurt to get to about that because that's how my mind works. Mm-hmm. What's the news tidbit about a new state coming on board, and what's the tote board in a certain state?
We're up to 20 million in 12 days, and that's not an overnight 24-hour dispensary. There's only certain working hours. So
that's in Illinois.
That's in Illinois, yep.
And they already ran out of weed.
And they're running out of weed, which obviously expected. This is how it goes, and then they're going to issue provisional licenses, and more people will be allowed. Okay, for now, let's just do this, but give them 6 or 8 months. Remember, the plant grows in 12 to 16 weeks, so by the time they get through a few cycles and they figure out how much is the black and the gray market doing, and then how much is the legal, and they'll get there in 6 or 8 months. They'll have it figured out.
And I like the fact that you can go now to a licensed dispensary and know exactly what you're getting, exactly where it was grown, exactly the effect that it's supposed to do on you, even though we all know it affects everybody differently. That gives me peace of mind. It just gives me peace of mind.
And I think we'll see, too, like, there is still quite a large illicit legacy market, but as the culture and the perception around cannabis shifts, as it's becoming more legalized, it's the people who didn't touch it before that are now going to start to try cannabis, that are going to start at dispensaries. And I think, over time that'll shift.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see it a lot longer than I'll see it, and not as long as Kirk will see. Well, anyway. All right, so we've got Illinois. A lot of governors in many other states are lobbying now for adult use in New Jersey, New York, New Mexico, and a few others as well. Hillary, let's get to the product because, if there's one thing that freaks me out about this business is when you ask, and a businessman comes up to you and says, okay, what's your core customer? What do they look like? You're talking 21 to like 95-year-olds. It's really that vast, right? And there are so many different ways to use this product medicinally or for adult use. And I don't use the R word and I don't use the M word. And I bet you guys both know what the R word is and what the M word is. But let's talk a little bit about your product. Tell me about it. What is it? What is it? What does it do? How does it work?
It's called the Smoozy, and I came across this in Vegas at MJ Biz.
And it's the only thing. It's the only thing you bought at MJ Biz.
The only thing I bought. I almost needed another suitcase to bring home all the freebies and the swag.
I was going to say, okay.
No, but all the stuff that you get at the convention, these booths are just handing stuff out, and many of them are selling things too. And of course, a bunch of vendors tried to sell me stuff. There's a lot of cool things that you can find, but this was the one thing that I was like, all right, take my money. It's really cool.
And it wasn't a lot of money, was it?
No, maybe like $12, something like that.
That's not a lot.
Really reasonable for what it is. So this is what it is. It's the Smoozy. It was in my pocket. You didn't even know. That's how small it is.
Oh, look at that.
So it's kind of like a modern, updated take on the Dugout, on the one-hitter.
Oh, just so happens, speaking to the old school dude, I got my one-hitter right here. I'm going to show you this.
Classic.
It is kind of like me, which is another word for old. Okay, I can handle that. It looks like a cigarette. You dig it in, you get one hit out of it, you take a few puffs, and you put it away. And it's,
wait, let's see the difference here. So go ahead, do that again on there.
There you go. Good job. Compare and contrast.
There's
Side by side.
1977 and 2020.
Yeah.
He went to Star Wars, the first one, with this.
That's actually accurate. Sorry.
Love it.
It's a junior at Tufts University.
Sorry, yep.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like. So it comes in all kinds of different fun patterns and colors, solid colors, and also like some really punchy ones like sugar skulls and tacos and stuff like that. So there's something for everyone, but it opens just like this with one hand, which I thought was really, really nice touch. And my favorite part about it is the loader. So that's what this is.
Yep. Turn it so we can see. There you go.
Learning.
There you go. Yep.
So this is how you load it. So you just kind of put the opening on this funnel right underneath and click it in. And then see how it's like a nice wide mouth. So when you use a grinder.
I know what a grinder is.
Yeah, so to try to pour from the grinder directly into that little chamber, next to impossible. But this is a nice wide mouth, so you can just pour your ground flour in there, and it comes with a little pusher to pack it in, and that's it. And then you're ready to go. So this is great for like out and about. Super slim, like for comparison. Also, this is a lighter that I carry around.
Wow.
Also, because it's so slim, and it's like about the same size.
Now it's interesting. The vape thing. We've been talking about the vape thing a lot, right? The C-cell ceramic heated units that are out there. They're very small. They're very convenient, and when you vape, it doesn't smell as potent as smoking it, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's fair to say. But, this is such a small amount. That's what's great about a one-hitter, too, is like it's just a little micro dose. So you're able to kind of moderate and kind of titrate. Sometimes you don't want to smoke a whole blunt to the face. Sometimes you do. But sometimes you just want a little sip.
I was going to say, and you can't smoke a full pre-roll joint. You can't. I know people are, I can. You know what? It's a lot. Right,
it
Kurt?
is, yeah. So this
we did that in Jamaica.
I was going to say, as a peak in Jamaica, I think would testify for it.
When in Jamaica.
Right, exactly
right.
An incredible experience, yeah.
So another cool thing about this that I want to mention is on the bottom, there's a little, it's kind of maybe hard to see on the camera here, but there's a little tool built right in to clean out the ash.
That's
And
great.
it's never going to clog. They say it's guaranteed not to clog. So.
Wow. Well, that is not true
They took your
about
money.
the old school one.
Right?
Yeah.
I gotta tell you,
Definitely not.
Because right now it's pretty clogged. Okay.
Yeah, so I thought this was really cool. You guys can check it out at smosey.co and use the code WeedTalk for 15% off. And shout out to Paul, who hooked me up with that discount code and sold me on the Smosey
There you
at
go.
Vegas.
So we got the
You know?
Smosey, we got the Weedjit going
Yeah.
on here, and now I find another product that a buddy of mine created, and we've only got a few minutes.
Show them the spell.
SMOSI.
Now they
There you
go.
go.
Go to the
Now
internet
you go.
website.
You can
They
follow
can-
them
Josh
at
Curtin.
Smosey_life on Instagram.
That's right. And we're going to hear more about Smosey, and we might actually get Paul on the phone on our next show, too,
All
to
right.
talk a little more about the product, because I got to talk to him, too. But I want to talk about this little thing here. I'm going to put it right here.
The pre-pack,
It's called a pre-pack, okay? And it's made out of glass,
borosilicate.
okay? And I understand, I was supposed to get an email from a certain somebody. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but Austin Davis is the founder of this, and this is the highest quality glass that you can get in America. It's an American product.
These are all made in the U.S.
USA, okay? And basically it holds 0.25 grams of flour, and it has a little cap on top, so it too has a portable kind of quality to it. And it's a B2B product because you could put any kind of a logo on it, and it becomes, a self-enclosed thing. Okay, buy a pre-pack, Great for concerts, I was thinking, right?
Yeah.
And extremely popular north of the border in Canada. They are knocking it out of the park, these kids. I call them kids because I've known him since he was born. But I'm not going to throw him under the bus for not sending me the email, or if he did, it went into my spam folder. What can I tell you? So this is called a pre-pack. It's all part of the new normal for cannabis in our world. Yes? Yes.
Yes.
Hillary did a great job on the Smosey. First half hour goes very fast.
It does.
And I want to thank you. We're going to see you again with Richie
Sounds
Guerra
good.
at the back end of the show. And in the meantime, we're going to welcome in Mike Pettit. He's coming on in the next half hour, so don't go away. Weed Talk with Kurt and Jimmy will continue in just a few minutes here. We're live now, but guess what? We got a podcast of this stuff, too. Woohoo!
We Talk with Kurt and Jimmy is supported by Legal Seafoods. If it isn't fresh, it isn't legal. And by Caroline's of Uxbridge, the first licensed adult use dispensary under Massachusetts Social Equity Plan. And by Regents.com, a revolutionary new way to filter your cannabis consumption.
So, you were one of the first social equity applicants to get a license and an adult use recreational license to boot.
So I'm gonna correct that.
Please do.
So I was not a social equity applicant when I got my license. I was a general applicant, right? So I commenced in March, and then the social equity program finally rolled out a couple months later, and that's when I qualified for that program.
Thank you for clarifying that. And that's just shows you what a class act she is too. How important, though, having Stephen alongside with you as you bring this out to the public? How important is that?
With Steve, yes, Steve's fantastic, a hardworking guy, but he's a big part of why I qualify for that social equity program.
Thing that impresses me the most about your story, Caroline, is the fact that you did not spend the millions of dollars or the hundreds of thousands of dollars on a high-priced law firm to get you to the licensing and through that whole thing. You did your own homework. You put your own sweat equity into it and did it. I think about that and that process, and it just boggles my mind. Why in the world did you do it? I guess the question is, why did you do it, Caroline?
So I myself am I'm a daily cannabis enthusiast myself, so I believe in what I'm selling, right? But yeah, that's what happened. I was seeing everything happen in Colorado and California. So at that point, I took the Colorado application and started crafting my own. Massachusetts application was not out yet. So I had a draft that I had created, and then finally Massachusetts came out, tweaked it to fit into that Massachusetts. They had some different things, the social equity, disproportionate impact part of the application, but I was ready to go. I spent my years, creating my business plan, and on June 1, the first day you could apply as a general retail applicant, mine was in.
And that was Caroline Frankel from Caroline's Cannabis, and you heard a little bit about her story. A remarkable story. Someone who went through the whole licensing process and came out on the other side and has got a place in Uxbridge, and they're doing great. And now we continue with our Weed Talk live stream on our social media channels on Pro Cannabis Media on YouTube. I'm Jimmy Young, the founder of Pro Cannabis Media.
And I'm Kurt Dalton with Cannabis.net.
And he's right over there. I promise you.
that's
He's
right
right
there.
there. He is.
There he is.
There is. Hey, look, and
Nope.
there's Mike Pettit and that transparent co-host
Yep,
again.
there we go. I'll move over. No, this way.
All right, let me tell you a little bit about Mike Pettit, because I did my homework and I have it right here, and whether or not it actually has shown up or not is another story, but I know that he is a entertainer, a comedian. He produces a show. He MCs corporate events, and he was introduced to me by a guy by the name of Jim Bowman. Now let's put Kurt Dalton on the sports spotlight.
Here we go.
Real quick. Mike, that's Mike. Kurt,
Mike.
who is Jim Bowman, and what role did he play for the New England Patriots?
Don't know.
Good job. Mike Pettit, do you know? You know.
Of course I do. Jimmy played cornerback. He was
Safety.
He played safety. He was a large safety.
Yep.
Played for the Patriots, and yeah, absolutely. We met Jimmy at a Patriots game, and yes, he's quite a fine human being.
He's a great guy, and he's on the sidelines of just about every Patriots game in the back, taking notes on whose sock is down.
That is correct. Jimmy,
Right.
for the past 20 years, has been with the NFL and is the official uniform inspector.
Right.
So make sure that the guys, when they come out, they're wearing
Right.
all the uniforms that has to be in appliance to tuck your shirt in.
And they'll fine you. They'll fine you $25,
Yeah.
$50 if he writes tickets to the
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, and again, another one of those things behind the scenes and everything. But Mike, tell us a little bit about Pettit Productions and what you do on a regular basis, because I know you are doing something kind of exciting.
Well, thank you very much. I started my career in Boston radio a long time ago, probably about 30-something years ago. I've been very blessed or cursed. I'm an impressionist, so that's what I've always been doing for years. I started off in radio, as I said. It was, "Hey, baby, it's the Wolfman Jack on a Saturday night. Bebop and hey, baby." And then it moved into, "I'm Casey Kasem. We have a long-distance dedication. It comes from Dorothy in Kansas." So I started my career just a wise guy. I found that I could impersonate people and make them laugh, and it's evolved into a career.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if I remember correctly, one of the imitations in a contest that you won was for a specific basketball team in Boston, I believe, and their legendary broadcaster. And if you go to the New Garden, yes, now this one.
All right, here
hey,
we go.
Kurt,
Ready. Let's
who
hear
am I
it.
talking about,
I
Kurt?
won't even look. I'll just listen.
Okay, you know who I'm talking about.
We'll see. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, go ahead. No, Mike, you're supposed to talk.
Oh, you wanted me to
do the blankety blank imitation now.
During the 80s and the
Right.
70s, there was an announcer who was high above courtside.
60s and 70s.
60s and 70s. Okay, DJ, have a notion back over to Birdie, fiddle diddle daddle doodles, and that was a vicious fall by Lambeer.
Not bad on the Johnny Most. For
Johnny
those
Most.
that are outside of the Boston area. Long-time Celtic announcer.
Outside, right. Outside of the Boston market, pretty much limited. But he was one of those guys that was, he's in the ESPN archives.
Right.
You're always going to hear, and Havlicek stole the
Right.
ball.
There you go.
Havlicek stole the ball. So, so sports is my thing. I love sports. We all kick and scream and yell. And it all started with Howard. Down goes Frazier. Right there. Right there. The Thriller in Manila. You have to have a hook if you're going to be a sports announcer. As you know, Jimmy.
I guess I do.
Howard Cosell's was right there. Right there.
That's right.
And then you go into Marv Albert. Yes, I do love women's underwear. Alcoa presents You Make the Call. And the Knicks. Yes. And then, of course, college basketball is coming up in March. Uh-oh, it's Dickie V, baby. I'm loving it, baby. I'm on the Cannabis Media campaign, baby. Uh-oh, the kids are excited. Uh-oh. You're Dickie V, baby. Uh-oh.
I do want to go back to Johnny Most for just a second. If you go into the New Garden, because it is the New Garden, and Mr. Johnny Most, may he rest in peace, they have a old school microphone.
Sure.
Not dissimilar to this shape, actually, on the right underneath the 9th level, which is the press box and the the ninth level. Let's just call it the ninth level.
Sure.
It's truly high above courtside, and it has nothing to do with being high. It's just actually high above courtside where Johnny used to practice.
It's a tribute to Johnny. So I'll tell you one quick story. We don't lose half of our audience or 90% of them talking about Johnny. So I won the contest in 1988.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. I was just a young guy, and I won this contest. And my trip, the prize, was to go to L.A. to sit with Johnny and Glenn Ordway, the Big O, who's
still with us.
Boston Radio.
Yep.
Went to the Celtics against the Lakers game. So fun story. We're at the Forum, we go to the game, and we're having a good time, and then we go to the hotel later on. It's Valentine's Day, and we're upstairs, and we're drinking and partying and having a good time, and there's women there, and Johnny gets pushed and lands on top of me. He's not in good health.
No.
He's in my face, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Don't worry about it, kid. I got plenty of horses in the stable." That is a true
story.
That is a true story that I keep in my memory bank.
That's awesome.
And the memory I have is a little odd, because I'm odd.
Sure.
As a sports reporter in Boston in the 90s, Johnny passed away in the early 90s. And the funeral was at Temple Mishkan Tefillah in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. The same temple that yours truly was bar mitzvahed at in 1970. Which preceded my weed career, by the way, by about a year.
Sure.
But anyway, because whatever.
It's bar mitzvah, of course.
That's right. Well, and it was really strange to do a live shot from the funeral, from the parking lot of the funeral of a guy that I, too, emulated and imitated when I did my first ever broadcast for Tufts University back in the 70s as the voice of the Jumbos.
The Jumbos.
That's a resume builder.
That's a big T-shirt seller at the bookstore.
Sure.
Maybe the extra large jumbo up there. Yeah, the third one. I like that one.
Yeah, I'd like to have a Jimmy Jumbo T-shirt. Do you have a Jimmy Young Jumbo T-shirt? But now.
That's right. Anyway,
Jumbos.
that's a story. It's one of those stories. Now, Mike, interesting enough, and I'm going to give you a lot of credit here. You know that the name of the show is Weed Talk.
Sure.
And we focus on weed and cannabis and the laws, and we've had doctors on, we've had nurses on, we've had cannabis advocates on. Stephen Mandilli, who was the first person in line at the adult use out in Cultivate. He was the first guy to buy it. He's a retired veteran.
Sure.
And he kicked his opioid habit. Mike, you've never touched it. Am I right?
Oh, no. I was quite good at it growing up.
Oh.
I was.
That's not what you told me.
No. Here's what I will say about my
your cannabis story.
My partying days.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't have a problem with partying, but every time I party, I got a problem.
I gotcha.
So, I was kind of a Irish hellion growing up. We'll just put it that way. I made a lifestyle change for myself. I'm not preaching. This works for me. I just basically try to live a pretty basic life working in this crazy industry. They always say either you come into the business crazy or it's going to make you crazy.
Right.
So I decided that I went in crazy, and I've kind of just evened out. So,
I get you.
And my mom is quick to remind me.
But you live here in Mass, and you also don't drink alcohol, correct?
I don't, no.
So what's it been like now for 2.5, 3 years, going from just medical, and again, you don't touch either version. Now we're rec. It's the smell everywhere.
Sure.
People talk about it. It's around you. As a person who doesn't use, what's your opinion watching the progression in the state?
I think it's very well regulated. I think there's first of all, it smells great still.
It's like chocolate chip cookies.
Dude, it's like seriously, it's like, God, that smells pretty good.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is that Blue Dream? All right.
So I have some friends and some colleagues who basically I know, and they've told me, they said, it's not the stuff that we did growing up.
No.
One guy says he takes a little hit at night before he's a very successful business owner. He says he has a little hit before he goes to bed. He sleeps like a baby, doesn't have aches and pains. And I don't know. I'm not speaking. I'm just telling you what I've had people share with me.
I understand.
And he's just like, I don't get a headache. I sleep well. I'm not stressed anymore. That's all I can share with you guys of what I've been told. So your question to me was, what is my take on? Well, when it first got legalized, it was something I was like, okay, I know there's a lot of, medical reasons what it does, what it helps people with chronic pain. And then I was trying to think, I'm like, okay, so from a comedic standpoint, I had a couple DUIs growing up. And
Gotcha.
if you're high and driving,
Right. Well, going really slow. For the,
Sure.
Really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know why I pulled you over?
Do you know how fast you were going?
Hey, man, because I'm listening to the Bee Gees. Hey,
Five
man.
miles an hour.
That's Cheech. That was
Yep.
Cheech, not Chong.
Got
But
the ooh, got the E. Hey, man, don't you knock on the Bee Gees, man. Ooh, got
The joke I always say about alcohol versus marijuana. Alcohol, good things usually go wrong. Bad things happen. It's always alcohol related. Hey, did you hear what happened to Sully? No, well, he said goodnight to some guys in the parking lot and they beat the hell out of him. You never hear it about weed. Hey,
Hey, man, did you hear what happened to Frankie?
That's
no. He blew up.
Blew up. That's cool.
Like we say, marijuana people don't want to hurt anybody.
Right.
They just want to order in or
Right.
go out to a drive-through.
That's right.
You know,
We are lovers. We're lovers, not fighters.
Welcome to Taco Bell. Could I take your order?
Next time we interviewed Tommy Chong. So
We did.
But you know what? We can almost pretend that he's here in studio with us again.
He could be our call-in. We'll just
Absolutely.
say it's Tommy. We'll say
It's
it's
Tommy.
Tommy.
Chong.
well, this is what we grew up with.
I know.
We were talking about this with some of your colleagues out in the hallway. It's like, yeah, I grew up with Cheech and Chong, and then it was right into Reverend Jim from Taxi. You know,
Right.
Yeah. You know there, Kirk. Captain Kirk.
it is
Yeah.
Kirk, right?
Yep.
And Jimbo. The other day, I called my house. I let the phone ring. It rang and it rang. It rang and it rang. And I thought to myself, my God, where the hell could I be?
And of course, it went into Spicoli on Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yep.
Nice jacket. Aloha, Mr. Han. Let's eat.
I can see you're very familiar with stoner culture for someone who doesn't. Still
Well,
use it.
there's great material.
Yes.
Right?
As I was sharing with Jimmy on our phone call discussing the program, I'm an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. I'm not. I'm very fortunate. I'm not. I don't have any demons. I mean, my fridge may have a different opinion on that. Because it's me on the couch and I'm alone.
Yeah.
My fridge.
It's talking to you.
It does. It's like Antonio Banderas. It's like, psst,
You, what are you doing? Come over here. I got what you need.
Cupcake.
I got what you want there, ho-ho boy.
Oh, I love ho-hos.
I know. You wake up in the morning and you're like, what happened?
I'm not even stoned.
My fridge should not be called Frigidaire. It should be called something like hammering BMIs or something. I don't, I do good during the day, and then late at night, it's like, it all goes down. So,
What's up? You were working on a show.
yeah.
A live show, if I remember correctly, weekend live or late night live or something. Did we develop that? Did that ever get developed?
Yes, I'm working on a program right now. So in my stand-up, I've evolved somewhat. I moved into hosting. I created a show. It's traditional format, just like
Johnny Carson. Like Jay Leno. They're a traditional talk show. Well, you come out and you do a few jokes. You sit at the desk and you bring out some talent.
So I'm working. You think I need cannabis, dude?
No.
So I'm working on a program right now. It's called Late Night New England. And it's a traditional late night formatted program, which doesn't have to be shown at night. But we come out, you do a monologue, I sit at the desk, we have some friends, pop culture, some subjects, comedians, musicians, anything that you would man on the street interviews, and it's just it's a baby that I'm working on. It's my baby.
We've talked about it for a while, and
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
especially in this day, like we're doing here, this is called visual radio, Mike.
Sure.
Did you know that? Visual radio.
Sure. So you can no longer say you have a face for radio.
Right, I guess so.
Right.
I mean, to me, if it looks like TV, sounds like TV, and is on TV, or a monitor, because they don't call them TVs anymore. It's a monitor, or a smart TV, right? Smart TV. There's good. You could do routines on smart TVs.
Getting way out of his league over here. Just already out of the deep end.
I'm not. I'm just
Get
throwing
that
ideas
smart
out.
iPad out here.
I'm just.
Smart TV watched by stupid people. Yeah. So no, that's just basically what I do. But I'm a live performer. The stage. I enjoy the interaction of stand-up comedy, back and forth with people. Traveled the country for years. Kind of done with the road. The road gets old real quick. Did the Vegas. Lived in Hollywood for about 10,000 years. Learned a lot.
What were those parties like?
You know what? I wasn't partying.
Okay.
So it's,
So you avoided.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when everybody else is kind of dribbling and drooling, I got got like a B- game. You know what I mean? Yeah, baby. Seriously, baby, you got what it takes.
What is your? Can I ask you what your? I think you told me not to ask you this ever. Favorite?
My favorite impression?
Yeah.
So one of my favorite impressions, I'm very fortunate to do the presidents, and I did not have relationships with Miss Lewinsky, and I can do that, and then the Trump, it's huge, incredibly huge. Look, I know huge, but the ones that I like to do are the ones that nobody really ever does. You've seen Goodfellas? Karen, that's all the coke we had, Karen. We're not going to get caught, Karen. We got to figure it out, Karen. I ought to kill you, Karen. What's the matter with you, Henry?
That's good. That's
so
good. Ray Liotta.
it's that type of stuff that I like to do. I'm much funnier on stage than I am golfing. Golfing's pretty funny too, but the Caddyshack, I mean, how many comics have you gone out with that can do, hey, all right, let's go, while we're young? But very few can do a little Judge Schmeals. We're having a little get-together next weekend at the yacht club. You still my friend, Danny?
You by Bushwood?
You? Well,
Bushwood? My arm, it's broken. My arm.
Hey, all right, my friend.
You're coming right down the pipe with these.
And boy, you love them, right?
Yes.
So, to you, Jim, those types of impressions.
Yep.
Those are the ones that I enjoy, where the audience is like, what?
Yes. What is he talking
What
about?
did I just,
Right.
So let me ask you a question. We are a certain age.
Sure.
We can identify with just about all the voices you're doing.
Sure.
What happens when you're in front of do you ever go doing the college crowds or a 21 to 34?
Are you doing K-pop?
Exactly.
Who?
I'm not working. I didn't have so much success at like the Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, I could see that one.
We did the 11 and the 1 o'clock show, dark on Mondays. But of course you do. You just have to kind of be a chameleon. You have to be able to adapt to your. Oh, you give them some Peter Griffin. Oh my God, I love Doritos. Oh my God, yes. Look at those things. Just a tasty little triangle. Yummy. So that's what I do. I just and I bop and weave in and out of the characters and little audience interaction. And
So what do you do with your audience interaction? Tell me about that.
well, first of all, Jimmy,
Because I give good audience.
Jimmy, we need to talk about that shirt.
Yeah.
I had no idea that IHOP sold apparel. When I walked in here, I was like, what did they do?
You're like,
I like
double
my
stack
shirts.
it bacon when we're done. Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
I like my shirts.
I'll have a Jimmy Jumbo shirt with stripes up and down.
What were they? The Bacons? What was it? What was the name of the mascot?
For who? The Jumbos.
The Jumbos.
The Jimmy
yeah.
Jumbo shirt.
That's going to be at the IHOP.
Jumbo the elephant is a real thing, though. Jumbo the
it's an
elephant.
elephant?
Yeah, Jumbo the elephant.
Like, I'm supposed to know this. Like I
you
know.
should. P.T. Barnum. You know who that is?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's their mascot is an elephant?
It's Jumbo the elephant.
Jumbo.
Now, I'm not,
Right.
I'm
P.T.
not
Barnum.
here. I'm not here. I'm only here for a little while, but I may be able to leave you with a few things.
Okay.
I think
I was
that.
going to go into the history of Jumbo the
No,
elephant.
I feel that we're branding something from a germ of an idea, and I think the Jimmy Jumbo shirt could quite take. It could be something where I'm a big Jimmy Jumbo fan. And,
Okay.
and you might just have that.
I have an elephant in my office. It's not real, but I have an elephant. Oh, I do that one.
Going off the rails here. The old pro cannabis media.
That's also a
You don't know
shofar.
Jumbo the
If you're from the Jewish persuasion, that's a shofar.
Sure.
Tiki,
The Jimmy Jumbo shirt.
Anyway, I'm doing imitations. What can I tell you?
There you go.
Were you the class clown?
In high school, I played sports and I got in a little bit of trouble and all that kind of stuff. Dabbling in you know what. But let me give you.
You do have the cannabis.
Yeah, we can say it now. It's all legal.
Yeah.
You know what?
So here's my typical high school. Good afternoon. There'll be a pep rally at 2:30. All students should attend. Michael Pettit, please report to the principal's office. That's pretty much.
But they included you as a student, though. That's big.
See, when I was in high school, it was 80 to 84, right? And that's when it was first was. We gotta eat lightning and crap thunder. I ain't got no lack of no do I, Mick. The old butt kiss.
We're here in the locker room with Southpaw, Rocky Balboa.
Hey, that guy's in the back there, yo. That's just what I do.
I get
so
you.
that was my thing in high school. Was I the class clown? Absolutely. It's funny because when you move back to your kind of your roots or your neighborhood where you grew up,
Yep.
you bump into some people you recognize, some people you don't, and some people you just like.
That could be. That's right.
Wow, you look like crap.
I love that.
I had somebody say that to me at Stop and Shop. They're like, "Oh my God, Michael Patton, I love your show. Boy, your hair got gray." I'm like, "Hey, you got fat."
And you still have hair.
But I do it as Norm Macdonald. Hey, how you doing there, boy? You put on some weight there, huh? How you doing? Yeah, there you go.
Half the people out there do not know who Norm
Norm
Macdonald is.
Macdonald. Norm Macdonald was on the Saturday Night Live there, and Norm's kind of pretty popular there on the podcast thing. He got fired, because he was making fun of that O.J. murderer guy. And the guy, that NBC guy, boss there, Dick Emberson did. He said, "You stop making fun of my friend OJ." And next thing you know, I got fired. There you go.
That's good stuff, man. Where'd you grow up?
I'm originally from Attleboro, south of Boston, north of Providence, and I'm right near Foxborough.
That's right.
Tonight we are all patriots. Everybody, Jonathan. Everybody hates the Patriots, but I'll just tell you right now.
No, hang on a second. Yeah.
We we got a lot of work to do. I don't know about that.
And we're on to Cincinnati.
Right?
I love it with Chris Berman. He interviews Belichick.
Well, Coach, hey, once again, you're back in the playoffs. Yourself, Tom Brady.
Yeah, we got a lot of work to do.
The worst on camera.
He's worst of the best.
The worst of the best.
He's
the best of the worst.
Best of the worst.
Best of the worst. All right, that's Bill Belichick. And sports has always been intertwined into your routines, and people like sports, especially in this area.
I love sports. I think it's amazing. Obviously, right now we got the huge baseball scandal going on.
Oh, did I miss something?
Yeah, it just gets more interesting. Today, Carlos Beltran was let go of the Mets.
That's right.
The whole thing. Here's my take on baseball. We all know in '99 when the strike happened, right? What did they do? They juiced up. There's a deep drive, way back. It's gone. it's into the ocean. I say, legalize steroids. What do you think? Let them juice up. Have legal doses. Each player gets to take a certain amount. Have you been to Fenway Park lately?
We are talking legalization here, so you're in the right room.
For the price of admission, if they run around second base, their head pops off and they're never nuts shrivel up.
You could say that. It's an over 21 show.
I've got my price of admission at Fenway Park, but no sports. I played sports growing up, like we all did. My dad told me. Doesn't matter whether you win or you lose. What's important is nobody knows you're my kid.
That's a great line.
Yeah, I tell you,
That's a great line. Do you do cartoon characters too?
Looks good on you.
It looks good on dude. Yeah, cartoon characters are fun. Here's a very interesting story. We didn't even talk about this. So, misses and hits and things that just didn't work out. There are millions of them in the industry. Here, this will give you a time reference. I went out, always been able to do voices. I sent out cassettes. There's your time reference. When I lived in L.A., and within a week, I got a voiceover agent. Oh, my God, this is the big break. It's going to happen. So I go in for Space Jam.
Space Jam.
Wow.
Huge.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I go in, I read Daffy Duck, I do Porky Pig, Elmer Fudd. I get a call back like 2 days later. So now I go back in. Now it's round 2. So it's like playoffs. 50 people go in, then it's down to 20, and then 10. It gets down to me and one other guy. I'm in the studio with Ivan Reitman, a brilliant director.
Oh, yeah.
Ivan Reitman.
I know that name.
And I'm in Burbank, and he's like, Michael, try it this way. Michael, try it this way. And I'm over there.
Of course I'm open. Throw me the ball. Of course I am. What are you doing over there? I don't know why you're pulling my tail.
That's good stuff, man.
Good.
That's really good.
Week went by.
This doesn't end well. I can
A
tell.
week.
I know it does.
Yeah.
We know where it's going.
So, you know what? A brilliant talent I've been going up against for years. Had a cartoon that he produced and was hosting and doing the voices on called Red and Stimpy. Billy West.
Right. I
Billy
remember
West.
this. All right.
So Billy West got the gig, but it's just one of those. Cartoons are fun. Cartoons are easy. Cartoons are just it's animation. It's pretty interesting. For a while, I worked part time for Turner Studios down in Atlanta, doing voiceover stuff. So it's just this is the business. I love to dance. This is what we do, baby.
It is what we do. And more importantly, I know how important it is to you to make people laugh. That is it's something I like to think I can do, not as well as you can, but I do like when I say something and people laugh, and even if I am the butt of the joke, and pretty good material, by the way.
Well, let me say that. Thank you very much. People, obviously in today's social media, and I'm offended, and people texting and all that stuff right now, people need to remember to laugh. These are jokes, and if you don't want to laugh, don't go out. I always say laughter works. Laughter is escapism, allows you to forget about life happens. You got problems, everybody's got crap. I'm an entertainer. I'm going to entertain you. I'm going to do what I do. I do impressions. I bop in back and forth, but I don't attack a crowd. That's just not what I do. And you can't make everybody happy. You can't make everybody happy because you don't know what's going on with that person. Right. Most people's issues have nothing to do with you. Most people's issues have nothing to do with you. But the person who sits in the front row like this, make me laugh, monkey boy. But it happens,
right?
But I'm already looking at I'm looking at the people in the back that are laughing, and I'm moving on. I've been doing it for 30-something years.
Did you ever bomb?
Oh, just once, of course.
Yeah.
What's that like?
67.
Like naked in front of a group of people.
What was it like? I'm not going to act like it didn't affect me. It didn't bother me. But again, the next night you're doing the same show in front of a different audience, and they're roaring. Mm-hmm. So it has to be with the setting. Here's a great time. This was great. I'll never forget. 2005, I get hired by my agent to go down to West Palm Beach, like this time of year, to go do a yacht club. No, to go do a yacht club. Now, right there, you know your audience is a little bit stuffy. And I just go in and I give them the impressions and I'm done. So the reason why they wanted me to go in at 6:30, which was an odd time, they were voting on something about the yacht club, something with the members. Mm-hmm. So the woman introduces me from Boston. Well, they are all New Yorkers, Jewish, and all they wanted to do was vote on that one thing.
Yeah.
Put their feety pajamas on at home and have ice cream. They wanted nothing to do with Monkey Boy.
Yeah.
So I come running out. He's from Boston, and they're all going, boo! It was like on Seinfeld when they're booing Jerry. You stole the rye, boo! And Jerry's like, what do you mean? I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? So there was nothing I could do, and I plowed through my 35-40-minute set. I didn't even stay for coffee. I just peeled it right out of the door. And that's happened, honestly, 100 times.
We got about 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
Tell me how people can get in touch with you.
My last name is Pettit, P-E-T-I-T. I have a small company called Pettit Productions. Michael Pettit, or as my Indian doctor calls me, Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett, you Betty funny. But it's Michael Pettit, P-E-T-I-T.
And we'll have more of Weed Talk with some really cool, a really amazing story coming up after this break.
I want a Jimmy Jumbo shirt.
We are Pro Cannabis Media. Why? Because we are a media company that is pro cannabis.
Pro cannabis, because those stories are not being told.
We are live streaming from events.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to day 2 of the live stream from the New England Cannabis Convention. Hey, unbelievable. Here we are again in the Performer TV studios. Hi, everybody. Welcome to We Talk Live. I'm Jimmy Young.
And I'm Kurt Dalton from Cannabis.net.
We are blogging on all topics. We are partners with Leafly, Weed Maps, Greenflower, MJ Headline News, Sensi Magazine, and The Weed Tube. We are Weekly News Dabs with Jimmy Young.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of News Dabs. I'm Jimmy Young reporting for the Pro Cannabis Media Group and ProCannabisMedia.com.
From New Orleans, Liz Dameron, Pro Cannabis Media Network.
We are interviewing cannabis experts on the podcast In the Weeds with Jimmy Young.
You were one of the co-authors of Question 4, which paved the way. First of all, how did you get picked for that honor, if you will?
We write laws and regulations. We advocate for them. And then we get licenses and keep them compliant.
But I do believe that Bruce is on the phone with us, so Kurt, you can take it away as I go into my Rasta mode here.
Bruce, are you there? Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. I'm just being quiet because I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's a rowdy show tonight, I got to tell you. So I have to lead off right now. You left Canopy Growth, as you said. No, I was fired. The entire cannabis stock market crashed. Did you cause that?
Well, I didn't fire myself, so I don't think so.
We are a digital media company for the cannabis industry, telling their stories in their words.
There's nothing like having patients come back and say, I feel better.
I am confident that Congress is, at the very least in this current Congress, by next year, going to make it legal make it clearly legal for banks to take marijuana accounts, which is a big step forward.
I never thought I'd see the Red Sox win a World Series, let alone 3.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see the Patriots win a Super Bowl,
Me neither.
let alone 5. This is taped. Okay. It's a whole new world of weed out there.
We are ProCannabisMedia.com. Subscribe today.
And once again, welcome back to Weed Talk with Kurt and Jimmy. I'm Jimmy Young, the founder of Pro Cannabis Media.
And I'm Kurt Dalton with Cannabis.net.
And we are so happy to welcome in the Chief Strategy Officer for the Alchemy League. Her name is Julie Mejia. Did I do the last name right?
You did. I'm very impressed.
Well, you would think I was a broadcaster at one point in my life, and I would be able to look at the J and understand it's not a J. It's a Y.
Wonderful.
It's
Thanks so much for having us.
No. This is a big day for you. I'm guessing that the other 2 partners of yours are out celebrating because the Alchemy League finally, after about 600 days, you have a provisional license.
We do. So very excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What does that mean? There's more work ahead of you, right?
There's a lot. It's a bittersweet day. We have individuals in this industry that are struggling. They're losing their homes. It's sad. It's very sad. So.
And one of the things that the Massachusetts law was designed to do is to give opportunity to those who were most affected by the war on drugs, the failed war on drugs. And it happened in Massachusetts because, after all, this is where it all began, right? It all began. We were rebels back in the day, right? We were rebels back in the day. And the law was written in order to give those people an opportunity to apply for licenses and actually get into the business. But it has not worked out that way. In fact, it's been very frustrating, hasn't it, Julie?
It's been detrimental.
Yeah.
You know, we really thought that this process was going to expedite, our way into the industry and make it easier and, more manageable. And unfortunately, that has been completely the opposite thus far.
Yeah, Kurt, I know you're very familiar with what's going on.
For our viewers and listeners, kind of walk us through how it started, what you applied for, and kind of speed us up to where we are today. Like, where did it start?
So originally, Leah had applied. This is before I even knew them. They had applied back in 2018.
And they'll be here shortly.
Yep, they will. It's been a crazy day for all of us. We're trying to fit everybody in, and it's just been insane. So we appreciate the love and support, and we're happy to be here tonight.
Thanks. So take us through the process. Everybody that follows cannabis and is actually interested in this stuff and wants to learn more and more.
Here we are.
And here we got, this is great. So stay on me. I'm going to stretch. They used to call me Mr. Phil back in the day in Portland, Maine, because I could fill time and make a fool of myself. It's just what I do. But anyway, we're going to welcome in Leah Cook-Daniels, the CEO of Alchemy League. We're also going to welcome in her partner, Jay Cook-Daniels. Yes?
Yes.
And hi guys, how are you?
Well, thank you.
So first of all, get close to your microphones. And I want to wish you all big time congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
The question that I hate the most when I teach young people how to be reporters and what have you is the how do you feel question. You feel great, don't you? We all know that. You guys have been fighting hard for this provisional license, and you have it now.
So yes, we feel great. We feel great.
You feel great.
It's bittersweet.
Tell me why it's bittersweet. Come on.
Even though we've made it through this process at this point, there's still a lot of us out here, a lot of economic empowerment applicants out here, still fighting for the cause, still trying to go through this process, still having problems. That's why it's bittersweet. Sweet for us, we've gotten this far, but bitter for the rest of our comrades.
Right.
I'm guessing you guys know Pure Oasis and Kobe in the city. He got himself a license, and they haven't been able to open yet. How it's so restrictive, the regulations that you guys have to go through to at least get to the starting line, right? I mean, the provisional license is almost like just the beginning.
Absolutely.
Right? So what's the next step for you guys?
We're waiting.
Before you get to the commence operations one, which is the one where you really have a party, you get to actually go into business,
exactly,
right?
yes. This is a half celebration today.
That's right. So, again, what's the next step for you guys?
Build out.
Okay, so
Tell us.
So let me just be perfectly honest.
Please do. This is what we do here. We tell the stories, the true stories.
Well, we don't know because they haven't given us any other direction. I mean, I know what the direction I'm going to move in as a business person, how to move your business forward. But coming from the Cannabis Commission, there's no instructions as what's next or what to expect or how to move this forward or what the process is. That's the problem.
Radio silence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. And I'm certainly familiar with the commissioners and the job that they had to do, starting from absolutely zero knowledge. These were appointees by our governor, who was not pro-cannabis for question 4.
Correct.
And he has done everything he can to slow the process, to drag it down. Forget about running out of the gate. They're crawling out of the gate. And he's done he basically got exactly what he wanted at the expense of people like you, taking advantage of people like you who have been taken advantage of for quite a long time, I might add, even before cannabis was legal. All right, so it just makes absolutely no sense to me. I am one who is embarrassed, ashamed in many ways, and yet also saying to myself, holy, it's 2020. I'm in my home state, but I'm talking about weed on the radio, on the internet, and it's legal. Okay? So we've made a lot of progress.
I agree.
But the fight to get to this point has been amazing, especially for you guys.
Yeah.
Now, Holyoke is the place where we're going?
Yes. Holyoke has been
the haven.
So welcoming.
Alex Morse, come on, let's talk about the mayor.
Let me give him a shout out, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Alex
my goodness.
We're blessed.
Oh,
That's right.
wow.
We have a close-up cameo with Alex as he was like signing the community
Absolutely,
host
he
agreement.
did. He took the time
Oh,
out.
that's
It was
nice.
so
He
exciting.
said
he's great.
He
He is.
responded back to the Cannabis Commission
Yep.
within 24 hours of receipt of the documentation. He needed to sign himself.
Right. Because
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
he's now running. He's running for Congress. I think it's U.S. Congress. He's running for.
Whatever
He's
he's
got
running
our vote.
for, we're voting.
I
He's
know.
got our vote.
He's going to be positive and productive.
Yes.
And effective.
Yeah, and it's great to see a young politician. In fact, I wish that he was one of the 10 Democratic candidates. I don't need to say that. I don't want to get into politics because everybody hates my politics because I'm so left wing. There isn't even a position for me out on the wing. Okay,
I'd like to hear that position actually.
how radical I am.
Yeah.
Well,
we can talk about it later.
Okay, fair enough.
For
Because
another video.
when you hear what I'm about to say, and I'm glad that you put the netted
We may
function on me,
agree.
by the way. Oh my God! Thank you so much because I was about to probably, get a call from the Homeland Security people. Let's just say, all right, but we don't want to go.
Really agree. We'll chat later.
There you go. There you go. We are in an extremely difficult time for people of color, people who have been most affected by the war on drugs.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm scared to death of what might happen in November of 2020. I'll be perfectly honest. This is the first time in my life, I'm 62 years old, that I've been embarrassed to be an American.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And I've said it many, many times. And I mean it. I don't even know how to react to it because I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. And I lived through the assassinations of some of the greatest people I looked up to as a child.
So can I raise my hand and
Yes,
say,
ma'am.
I'm 51 years old?
Sure.
And for 51 years old,
Yeah.
I've been embarrassed to be an American.
Oh, wow. That's horrible. It's horrible.
Because I can't hide the color of my skin.
No, you can't. And by the way, no white person ever can understand this. And I'm Jewish, and we get plenty of problems ourselves.
I'm from the tribe,
The
too,
tribe,
my friend.
We're tribes
Okay.
people. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. So we all are in this together.
Correct.
And when we get to the point when we can embrace our differences, when we can actually sit next to someone that doesn't look like us or go to the same worshiping about
Exactly.
and talk about spirituality or talk about the the horrible prejudices and stereotypes that are still out there, and they're being perpetuated day in and day out, and it drives me nuts. And this is another reason, one of the reasons why I started Pro Cannabis Media, because I love a microphone and I love an audience, and I want to express the frustrations to let you guys know that I'm frustrated with you.
Thank you.
We are all with you.
We appreciate
Where
it.
did you grow up?
I grew up in Roxbury, actually. I grew up in the projects of Academy Homes.
Okay.
Before the streets were paved, before there was any concrete,
Wow.
it was just trees and dirt
Did
when
you ever,
we moved in there.
Did you ever hang out at the Shelburne Center as a youth?
I did, actually. I played basketball. My friends and family actually coached and taught there. Elfrida Harris is
You've got to tell her.
the director there.
You've got to tell her that you're on my show.
My great aunt.
I get hugs from Elfrida when I see her.
Sherry Webb took over
Okay.
after Elfrida Harris.
Yeah.
I can go on and on.
You can
Yes.
go on and on, but I'm
Yes.
going to blow your mind in a minute here. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Roxbury as well.
And look at that. I love that. You guys didn't leave the hood, which is pretty
We sure didn't.
admirable in many, many ways, because
Right.
it wasn't exactly a great place to grow up. It was difficult. You guys were about surviving every day. Nothing, we'll never, us Metro West suburban kids with a silver spoon, we can't relate to that, okay? But I respect it. I really do.
Thank you.
Was Jimmy Myers coaching at the Shelburne Center at any time? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I can just say that I don't recall.
Okay, that's okay. He's my mentor, and he was the first African-American sportscaster in Boston, and I helped produce sports at WBZ in 1977.
Well,
with
let
him.
me thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't...
Hey, WBZ.
WBZ? We like WBZ.
We love
You
WBZ.
guys-
WBZ.
Right, Marie?
I'm really bummed though. My buddy Bradley, you know, he's a good friend of mine. I was on his show as a
that's right. That's
guest
right. Yep.
recently,
Yep.
and he's
These
not
things-
on there anymore.
In fact,
I'm
that
so
just
sad.
happened, in fact.
That just happened like 2 days ago.
Right.
Even.
Yeah. So, in
Sad
fact,
about
I
that.
haven't looked at the roster to see who else might be, but I don't want to. In fact, I don't want to look at it because I do still have a lot of people there that I know and I'm friendly with. But I love that you mentioned Elfrida Harris. You guys, the license that you got, you are going after an adult use license. Is this what we're hoping to do as far as the dispensary goes? You got to help me out here.
So when we put our application in, we put it for recreational retail dispensary license for cannabis. And we also put it in for a testing laboratory because we felt that it was imperative for us to do some testing and research of the effects that are happening in our community and to our people and how we could help them through cannabis.
Yeah. And, I have this line that we use on Pro Cannabis Media. It's a whole new world of weed out there. And it really is. We're in a historic time. We're seeing things that I never thought I would see in my lifetime. I'm a sports nut, okay? So needless to say, when I saw the ball go through Buckner's legs in Shea Stadium, had to go in the locker room. Not a fun assignment, I just want to say.
Okay.
That was what sports was like in the 80s and the 90s in this town. I mean, we were Loserville for a long time. Now we're Cheatersville. Right? And it's horrible. I feel so bad. We're always on the defensive one way or another, right?
It's hard being on top.
They say they hate us because they ain't us. So you're going for your dream and your hope and the plan is to go for adult use in a facility, a dispensary in Holyoke, but testing is very important. You mentioned testing. We only have 2 labs, I believe, in Massachusetts right now.
That I'm aware of.
Yeah, MCR and CDX.
Correct.
And
We have Pro Verde as well, but
Pro Verde. I knew there was another one. See,
Cool.
and I'm glad that you corrected me. I appreciate that.
No
I'm not
problem.
one of those who thinks he knows everything because I know I don't. I don't.
Would you like to run for a seat for the commission?
Not in. Oh.
You're more qualified.
Ooh.
You get my vote.
I'm left too.
Well, and here's the thing. I hate politicians, okay? I don't like them because, 1973, the president resigned in my lifetime. Okay, we can only hope that could happen again. Oh, sorry. Did I say that? Did I say that? Yes, I did. Okay.
From your mouth to Hashem's ears.
Yeah, anybody's ears, actually, at this point.
Anyone,
I don't care.
I'll take it.
any. Right. Was it any responsible adult? Is that what it did? Those signs on the.
Yeah,
you gotta
something
drive,
like
You
that.
got to drive through Metro West to see all those signs, right? I'm just saying. Let's get back to the challenges ahead. Everyone who's followed this knows if you have money, and in fact, the figure that is used in conversation is you need $1 million just to get to the starting line. Just to get to the starting line. Now, Did you guys have $1 million?
I'm going to give this one to my wife because we actually just had this conversation.
Okay.
We did just have this conversation.
We did. So take it away, Jason Cook Daniels.
Okay, we did not have $1 million.
Okay.
We do not currently in our possession have $1 million.
Okay.
We fought through this process. We were up late. We were up early. We worked on the application. We didn't have consultants. The first thing when we started going to meetings in the beginning was immediately hire a lawyer. We didn't do that immediately. We put a team together. Julie is here to testify to that. And we worked together as a team to get us through this entire process. Because when you're used to surviving, you're surviving off of nothing.
Every day.
Every day.
Someone said that we were grassroots, and I said, well, we didn't have any roots. We had a couple of blades.
I'm still looking for the grass.
I don't even know if I can claim grass roots.
And we're talking the grass on the lawn,
correct,
and in the backyard,
exactly.
as opposed
that's now hay and covered in some damp mildew.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you know what that leads into is we were speaking to a reporter, and she.
Well, we're going to get into media in a minute. But you go.
Well, it came down to why everyone's so upset and everyone's so angry, and are you going to disrupt the meetings again? And I said, at that point when Leah decided to get up, it was kind of like one of those things, it's like bedroom talk, pillow talk, and it was like, baby, no, we can't do this anymore, right? Leah's a business owner outside of cannabis. I'm a business owner outside of cannabis, and we got to a point where we were no longer funding our businesses, growing those, reinvesting in those. We were putting any extra time, effort, and money into this cannabis process, and we were at our wits' end. And so on the 19th, it was almost like a do or die. We had nothing to lose. And you get a lot of people, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Feed you what? Because a million percent of zero is zero.
Exactly.
And at that point, there was nothing to lose. So if they gave us a no, we had already had a no for 2 years.
Can you take me through what happened on December 19th? Because, there's a lot of different reports. And again, I worked in media for 40 years in New England, okay?
So
Okay.
So there are a lot of my friends in management positions and reporter positions and people I respect and adore. I don't respect and adore the headline writers and never have. I got out of the business to work with a guy by the name of Lenny Zakem.
Okay.
They named a bridge after
Lenny
him
Zakem Bridge.
because he brought people together.
Correct.
Right? And I got to tell you, it changed my life. I went from my dream job to actually feeling like I was helping out the world a little bit, and I've maintained his messaging through the last 20 years. And now Team Harmony is coming back, which was the event I was involved with, so I'm so thrilled about that, although they did just move it to October. Anyway, so I guess my point about this is you can't put everybody in one basket in the media because all they're trying to do is keep their own jobs by driving revenue to their stations through audience watching.
Okay.
It's all about eyeballs, and how as sensational as they can be. They want to try to be objective, but there's also that human element, and there's also that personal element that we've got to get more people watching us because there is declining. There's no media. People don't want to go into media anymore. Right. Okay, it's very, very interesting what's going on in the colleges right now, and I'm teaching at a local college now too. So I guess my point is, how frustrating is it for you guys to go and pick up a paper or turn on the news and see all the negativity that the media leads with?
I don't think it's been that much of a negative process.
Okay,
I think
good. I like to hear
it's
this.
actually been very positive. We've had
Good.
very positive interactions with all the media outlets. They've been very supportive.
Okay.
So we've been very blessed in that.
But that
respect.
19th, the meeting on the 19th that got disrupted.
Correct.
Okay. There was mixed reports, let's just say, that were out there. Is that a good way to describe it?
Let me bring you back before the 19th.
Please.
Let me bring you back.
How did you get so frustrated? We know that.
Let me bring you back to the realization for me was December 14th.
Okay.
When I realized that they were doing something scrupulous to me that they never informed me that they were doing, meaning questioning my suitability. Now, if you're going to do that based on their laws, then they should have informed me that I'm underneath the suitability review. They did not. What they did was they kept engaging me with legal eagles over there at the Cannabis Commission, pretending to be representing and advocating for me
For 2
in the
months.
process. Okay.
For
So
2
then
months.
when I finally got clarity on it, and realized that not only have you not prioritized my application, but you have dragged me through.
You buried
for
the application.
110 days. And now you want to scrutinize whether I am a suitable candidate. And I will be perfectly clear to everyone that is listening and that can see and hear. I am 51 years old. I have served this country as a veteran in the United States Army. I have never been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor. So imagine how egregiously insulting that would be for someone to put that up as a suitability question.
Oh,
Mind you,
mind you.
Miss Daniels has a license to carry. Okay, so you're going to tell me that the U.S. federal government is less stringent than the Cannabis Control Commission?
This was a major mistake by these people. It's obvious now. Okay, I just want to say it's obvious now. What are the businesses that you guys are all involved with besides the cannabis world? You mentioned you're all in different businesses.
I own a pickup and delivery laundry service, Blue Jay Laundry, in Greater Boston.
Great.
And then
I got some laundry you can pick up.
There
In
you
fact,
go.
I got to
We
deliver.
do dry cleaning.
I like
we
that.
do comforters.
That's great.
24 to 48 hour turnaround.
Whoa.
Yep, there you go.
So and how long have you been in business?
I started Blue Jay in 2000. I started it as the laundress in 2011.
Okay.
Figured out, I got to figure out what this business thing is about.
Yeah.
Revamped it a couple times, changed the name to Blue Jay Laundry, and I guess we've done that successfully now for almost 5 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My first business lasted about 4 years.
It happens.
Oh no! First businesses, 90% of first businesses fail.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the second one, we got some life going here. All right.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of like my marriage history. I just want to say. I can tell you right now, third time's the charm, honey. I love you. Okay.
There you go.
That's right. Anyway, what other business?
So I'm a code compliance inspector for the state of Massachusetts. Energy code compliance inspector.
Okay.
What they call me is a HERS rater. So if you're building new construction in the state of Massachusetts, before you can get occupancy, you would need my signature and or my documentation for your construction project. I've been doing that now for approximately 5 years. As a matter of fact, I even left and went to Hawaii back in 2014 as a special inspector. I inspect concrete, rebar, and epoxy grout. And soils.
Wow, you know a lot of stuff. Let's just say, because that's all stuff that right over my head. I don't, and there's science involved in everything, right? And there's science really involved in the cannabis plant now, where you can actually impact that DNA of the plant and make it grow and
amazing.
whatever.
Incredible.
It is incredible. This is what I keep telling people. There's so many fascinating things about this industry that I've learned. Okay, and I love being able to tell the stories, the true stories of people like yourselves who can come in and have a friendly environment in the media outlet.
Yeah,
How's
absolutely.
that? Right?
We'll take it.
We give hugs here. Okay, we love
love
the
it.
people.
We
all right?
love it.
At the end of today, we need a hug.
That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
I think you need celebration. I think we know a few things that we could do with that. But anyway,
Hey.
let's go back to the proposed. Take us ahead in the process. You get your commence operations agreement, because we know that's when you actually get to start your business.
So once again,
Yes.
I will continue to reiterate.
Yes.
The communication in this process
Yeah.
is lacking to nil.
Yep.
From the Cannabis Commission. I can't tell you what that looks like because they haven't communicated that to me. What I can tell you as a business person, how I plan on moving forward, is to go in. My architects have already designed out the space. The first, actually, cannabis library that we will have in a dispensary, because I think it's imperative for you to learn and educate yourself in this plant, because you've been listening and hearing and projecting and trying to conclude. Sit down in the library, open the book, and read a little bit for yourself.
Oh God, and
That's imperative.
100%. And when I got my medical card 3 years ago, I threw myself onto Mr. Google, and Mr. Google knows all. And I spent a lot of time on the internet. I visited a lot of internet sites. Some of them are now part of our Pro Cannabis Media Group.
Nice.
Leafly, Greenflower, just to
Okay.
name a few. I'm
Wonderful.
very impressed with both. They do a great job. MJ Biz.
Their platforms are good.
Their
They are.
platforms are
They're
good. And of
wonderful.
course, let's not forget our friend Kurt and Cannabis.net. And I don't know if you know about his website, but it is the #1 website for time on the site.
Oh,
Okay, 24 minutes average time on his site, and the closest one to him is 8 minutes.
Oh, good.
So there's a lot of information
lot
on
of good
Cannabis.net,
information.
okay?
Good.
And good information. And Kurt is a machine when it comes to creating content, and he knows all the players. He's been in this space for 3.5 years.
Great job, Kurt. Thank you.
We love you, Kurt.
We love you, Kurt.
We love you, man. See, got more applause when he wasn't in the room. I just want to know that. So you've got your plans. You've got your architect. Are you going to be growing, or are you going to be buying wholesale?
So
what's the plan? Or have you made up your mind? Yes.
I have.
Okay.
So we have a geneticist.
Okay.
His name is Rick Nye. He's the grandfather of cannabis.
Yeah.
He's also part of Alchemy League's team.
Okay.
And we think that it's imperative that we create and design and develop our own strains to provide the services to our customers and clients that they actually really need. So we plan on being vertically integrated. So we will cultivate, manufacture.
Have you been down to see the new facility in Somerset, Solar Therapeutics? I'm going to give them a plug.
I have not.
Okay. I am going to tell everyone it is worth the trip. Adult use. A 50,000 square foot grow facility, 60% solar power. They took their electric bill. The typical electrical bill on these grow sites is about $250,000 a month. They took it down to $120,000.
Good job.
Okay, and they recycle. They're using 90% of their water. They're recycling
Good
it,
job.
and that last 10% they make into salt, I guess, and put it out to melt snow.
Did they give you all of your rebates? Because if they didn't, call me. Because I can help you get some more money for tax reductions and all kind of things. That's what I do.
There you go.
Hey.
So that's our friends down in Solar Therapeutics. By the way, I think there is an opportunity for an association of licensees.
Okay.
Right?
I
that-
agree.
Right?
We're big into that. I mean, so having the community involved and
I got the biggest plug. Okay,
Yeah,
so
go for
everybody pay attention.
Yep.
You know,
And we got about a minute.
When,
We got a
you're,
minute.
when
Yep.
you're dealt lemons, make lemonade.
Right.
So
Amen.
here's what's happening right now. It's called the Massachusetts Cannabis Networking Club.
Yeah.
Okay, you come with our network. If you have a medical marijuana card, we'll take it. Your membership will be $15. If you are a veteran, we will take you. Your membership will be $15. If you have medical concerns, issues, if you're trying to get into the industry and you're trying to expunge your records, we will deal with that. If you have any criminal background and you're trying to get in industry, we'll deal with that. If you need training, if you're an economic empowerment applicant, we will help you and assist you with that. We have a legal team that is on board from Harvard University. I call him Uncle John. Uncle John, if you're listening, I just gave you a plug. So it's called the Massachusetts Cannabis Networking Club.
Love it.
Google us.
Love it. And more importantly, when you open in Holyoke, as soon as possible. How's that? As soon as possible.
Absolutely. You'll be at our party.
We'll be there. Well, we'll be there to cover it. I'm here to work. All right, I got my job. It's too bad. The question I really want to ask, I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm running out of time, but I will ask it afterwards.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
But we will be back with the final half hour of Weed Talk with Kurt and Jimmy, and Kurt will be back in studio with me, and Richie Guerra from Sensi Magazine will be here, and Hillary King's coming back too. Don't go away.
Thank so much
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Weed Talk with Kurt and Jimmy is supported by Legal Seafoods. If it isn't fresh, it isn't legal. And by Caroline's of Uxbridge, the first licensed adult use dispensary under Massachusetts Social Equity Plan. And by Regents.com, a revolutionary new way to filter your cannabis consumption. All right, so explain to me how the Boston Cannabis Society started, first of all.
So it's Cannabis Society of Massachusetts. We've founded this nonprofit social club in September of 2014. We founded it to create more, networking experiences, events for people that are cannabis enthusiasts, people in the industry to get together and get to know each other.
And it's a vibrant community now. I'm guessing it's grown quite a bit.
Yeah, after legalization, our Toasty Tuesday events did grow larger than they were before. So we've had to accommodate and, get different venues and not announce them ahead of time as much as we would have, because we can't overflow the venue, but it is exploding, and we do love the networking. It's very unique.
And a guy named Wayne Martin actually introduced me to your society, and he said it's a very eclectic and a mixed group of people. Would that be an accurate description?
Definitely. We have a good cross-section of people, whether they're just cannabis consumers or lawyers or entrepreneurs or business owners already in the cannabis industry, patients. We have lots of people that, have different views of cannabis and where they come.
Right. And I also noticed on your card, your little placard that you put out, it's a non-consumption event on site and around the site, which is very respectful. I give you guys credit.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's right. We have to, be respectful of our venue holders. So we establish rules, and we want this to be something that we can continue to do.
And what are the future plans for this? Are we going to have Toasty Tuesdays every month?
That is our plan. We're going to have Toasty Tuesdays very regularly, and we have educational events in the Boston area probably every 2 or 3 months, where in downtown Boston we'll have a speaker that's very focused on a particular issue, highlight that for our audience.
Well, all right, we are back. Wait, here we go. We are back on Weed Talk. I'm Jimmy Young, the founder of Pro Cannabis Media, and
I'm Kurt Dalton with Cannabis.net.
Man, did we just give you a big plug?
That was awesome. I was watching on our studio production area. It was great.
That is awesome. I appreciate that. With that interview that you just saw was with the Cannabis Society of Massachusetts. In our last half hour, we talked a little bit about an association of like-minded people, and that's what the Cannabis Society does, and they have these Toasty Tuesday things, and Jeremiah was nice enough, one of the founders there, to sit down with me and hang out and talk, and Michael Latulip, I think is his last name.
So, yeah.
Is also a co-founder of that. We also want to thank our supporters. You saw briefly their logos. That was Caroline's Cannabis of Uxbridge. It's Legal Seafoods, and it's Weedjits.com. And remember, if you go on that Weedjits site, use Weed Talk 2020 as your code to get 10% off. Please do it, and you should try this product out. And you know what? I think it's like $40. So save some money and save your lungs. That's
get
really
healthy.
what it's about. Get healthy, get a little more healthy anyway. All right, Hillary King and Kurt Dalton are back in studio with us, and we welcome in an old friend, Rich Guerra, who was one of the first people on my podcast, In the Weeds, over a year ago. He was with Sensi Magazine in Colorado at the time, and now he has relocated here to New England, to Boston, where he went to school at BU. So, Rich, welcome back to New England.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Tell me a little bit about Sensi Magazine. How's it going? What's going on over there?
Yeah, we are growing and changing. Sensi Magazine, city lifestyle, health and wellness. Get a little closer.
Yeah, that was that signal.
Relaxing.
Right. That's all right.
Yeah, so Sensi Magazine's city lifestyle, health and wellness publication that is pro cannabis. And we are expanding into new markets all the time. So since last we spoke, probably doubled the amount of markets nationally that we are printing magazines, local publications.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
how many?
We've got 13 live right now.
Okay.
So we're going to be taking off in Tampa Bay, and we just got started in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. We're pumping in Detroit. We opened Coachella Valley and North Bay, California.
Coachella Valley. Now the second time I've actually heard of Coachella Valley, California. Call me crazy. I live in Massachusetts. I don't even go into North Shore or South Shore because I'm in Metro West. But Coachella Valley in California is quite the place, I understand. It's not in the Emerald Triangle. California's a big place.
It's the opposite of the Emerald Triangle as far as like location and terroir, and just the whole. Yeah, it's like desert versus. Woods.
The woods. Well, the hills. The hills are alive, right? And
Rich, for people that aren't familiar, you have it's a really nice looking magazine, and that camera right there. Kind of give people who might not be familiar with the brand and the magazine, kind of what it's about, and if companies that wanted to get in touch with cannabis consumers, why they'd want to choose your magazine, say for ads.
Sure. Yeah. So recently we did a redesign of the logo right here. And just generally, we've redesigned the font. We've got new sections in here. Let's see real quick. We've got the Buzz in the front. So that's going to be kind of like all kinds of things happening locally, culturally. We've got, looking through here, you know, you can watch me do this. The Life. So that's going to be kind of right. This month we're discussing local food, local restaurant, the Scene. It's got a cultural calendar. In some markets, we've got like horoscope, that kind of thing. And just ultimately, as far as who our demographic is, I mean, it spans from about 25 all the way up. And just people that are progressive, people that are professionals, and obviously local. So generally, especially in this market, I think for a business that is talking about products, talking about dispensaries, retail locations, right now especially, that is kind of exactly who you're looking to reach and sell your products to.
And where can you get Sensi magazine? I mean, it's mostly, I see them in dispensaries.
Right. And that's because, in whatever, because we have cannabis businesses, we're allowing them, or we're open to them advertising. We do have to have a certain percentage of our copies definitely going to a place that's 21 and up. And that's generally, I think, the rule for all advertising involving the industry. That makes it easy for us. We're going to drop most of them off at dispensaries. But I mean, at this point, glass shops, spas, yoga studios, hotels. I mean, you can kind of contact me directly if you're open to our publication being at your location, and I can add you to the list, and you can tell me how many. You know, I recently went to the W Hotel, and I ran into a woman that's maybe an older lady. I don't know. She's probably in her 60s.
She's probably my age.
Oh, boy.
I didn't want to go that far. You can say it. It's okay.
About halfway across that.
I get it. I probably knew her.
Yeah.
She loved it. It's
a beautiful magazine.
I had a magazine in my back pocket. And she's like, this is perfect for a business that I work with that essentially is like an elderly home, a home for folks that are elderly.
Like they can learn about it.
She's like, please put me down, and so we're sending them there now at this point, like
definitely
50
over
copies
21.
a month.
Yeah, definitely well over 21, as they say. Right.
But Rich, you started in Colorado, a mecca. You've come back to Mass, and we're a few years behind. We're getting started with our rec, and everything's going.
It's been interesting.
What is it like coming from Colorado and kind of the major leagues? We'll use an analogy in sports. And you're kind of coming to the new expansion team that's 2 years in. What do you see?
It's been a wild few years for me. I mean, I moved out of Boston, where I lived for 10 years, to Austin briefly, where there was no cannabis happening. And I was like, get me out of here. And I got to Denver and was blown away at a Sensi night. My first cannabis event years ago, when we just had Denver, was a Sensi night full of brands. And I love branding. I love advertising and magazines and television. I'm big, sell me something, you know. And,
right.
So I was blown away, and I took all the brands home. I always say that. And early on, and there was a lot of shops and a lot of products and a lot of competition and a lot of marketing and a lot of just all that. And there still is in Denver. And so coming out here, I mean, when I first got here, moved back about maybe 6-7 months ago, I was a little shocked at just how little the amount of, considering how many years it's been happening, how many shops there actually were. And the shops, the retail locations, okay, we don't have a lot of those, but what's still kind of blowing my mind is there's not many product like brands. Like there's not a ton of different edible line options, and there's not a ton of different concentrate options yet. And I mean, now I've kind of come to understand why that is, as far as manufacturing and whatnot.
The reason why it is that the governor of this state wanted to drag this industry down and give it every single regulation and make it as difficult as possible to start.
For certain kinds of people.
I'm sorry, I'm going to continue to throw them under the bus.
I'm learning this.
Because, and you know, the thing about Massachusetts, Eddie Edelman, what was it? Sports, Politics, and Revenge. Wasn't that Eddie Edelman's line?
That was Edelman's line,
right? And it certainly still fits, doesn't it? That being said, extremely frustrating that he appointed the commission himself. And, you know, they're doing the best job they can, but he could have gotten a little bit wider variety of commissioners, let's just say. Okay? I mean, the only public official in Massachusetts that voted for question 4, which was the legalization of adult use cannabis, was Alex Morse, the mayor of Holyoke. And you heard his story
Yes.
a little bit, that the Alchemy League, there's a reason why they went out there. They're embraced. And he's turned that city around. That's the whole idea of this. Regulate it, tax it, and then throw that tax money back into education and put it into the roads, because we need help with both of those around here.
Yeah. Hillary, what do you think of the Cannabis Commission?
You know, I think they're doing the best they can do. They have, well, okay, that's not true. They're not doing the best they can do. But I think they have so many different people and businesses and lobbyists and organizations, including, you know, the Mass Municipal Association that represents the governments of the towns and cities in Massachusetts, that some of them are fighting against this stuff. You know, public health and public safety groups, the Massachusetts State Police, like on the other side of the pro-legalization crowd, that we think everybody wants this, there's also a lot of like vocal, you know, against this, you know, for all kinds of reasons. So I think it's like, you know, they can't make everybody happy, right? So there's always going to be somebody who's upset about what they're doing, but it shouldn't be the most disenfranchised people that legally they're supposed to support.
The law actually in Massachusetts is supposed, it actually says right in there, those who've been most affected by the war on drugs should get the first crack at these licenses, and they have not done that. And you heard the frustration by the Alchemy League.
I think it's a money thing too. I think it's capitalism. It's when medical came around, there was the capital requirement that you had to have a lot of money in the bank and prove it. And so, I mean, even that process that was so politically, you know, red tape to get a medical license for a dispensary shut out most people, most small business people, and most people in the existing cannabis industry. And then RMDs, medical dispensaries, were given priority, just the same as economic empowerment, whether they had opened their doors or not.
Right.
And so there's been this kind of question around, like, how fair could that possibly be? But, you know, things are starting to shift.
Oh, absolutely. Rich, go ahead.
You know, back to like what, you know, comparing Colorado to this market and how things are progressing. I mean, there's a ton of brands, tons of shops. Hardly any of them were thinking about social equity when they opened up, and pretty much none of them are owned by anyone but a white male to this day. And there's a lot of business out there. So this. Yeah, maybe it's sticky and it's not working out perfectly yet, but we are having these conversations, and it is the time to make sure that it is integrated in that way. And it is, I think, it's looking good. I think we're going to have a lot more businesses here real quick that are focused on that, and so that's encouraging. Ultimately, as well, you know, there's some things I saw out there and heard about what happened in the first few years of legalization, and even years later. That I don't think we're going to really, hopefully we're not going to see go down here, that involve a whole bunch of gray market, a whole bunch of backroom dealing by the legal businesses with products going out the back door, that kind of thing. And I have a feeling Massachusetts, from what I can tell, we're being so maybe slow moving or really, really stickler about the details. And that's good. I mean, we should be doing that in every market. And it's
good in the beginning because as a parent, you set boundaries and parameters for your children, and your job is to keep them safe and to encourage them and all that. But in time, when they grow into young adults and then adults, you know, it might be time to change those rules a little bit, right?
Well,
so the same thing's happening in California right now.
We need regulations.
We need regulations
on these plants, on this medicine, on these products, and
I'm
so
not saying Wild Wild West. I'm not saying that. Okay, I want you need regulations, but the process of actually opening stores, getting the business going. You need to put some gas on the fire here, guys, and get it going a little bit faster. That's just my point.
Just a caveat. Some of the slowness of the pace is due to what's called open meeting laws and things like mandatory public comment periods that kind of bake in like 30, 60, sometimes 90 days of a comment period. I think 60 days is typical, where you have to let it sit and give time for the public to read about it, to catch up on what's going on, to be able to give comment about specific things that they, you know, would support or not support. And the open meeting laws require the Cannabis Commission to do all of their business in public. If they can only talk 2 at a time, and any more than that, they have to be in a public forum that must be announced, 48 hours in advance, and otherwise they can't really talk to each other. So when it's a great thing that their meetings are open to the public and anybody can go. It's a great thing that we have, the due process of public discourse and the ability to contribute ideas. It's just a matter of who they're listening to.
Right, exactly right. And they shouldn't be afraid to be a little bit more proactive with getting those licenses out there instead of making a lot of public appearances. Now, I understand that the idea is the public can come to you and you can go to the public. Right, I get that. But with all the work that still has to get done, I feel like the priorities are a little skewed. But it's only the beginning. It's only this is the second year, for crying out loud. I mean, Rich, you came from Colorado. I don't know what the second year was like in Colorado.
I've heard crazy horror stories, and it was a mess. And
right, and they've
a lot of.
And how many years now? 10, 12 years in Colorado.
For medical,
yeah,
and I will say I drove around. I did pop-ups at different types of dispensaries. I hung out in all kinds of shops all over the state, and a lot of the businesses that are operating that got their door, opened their doors in the beginning. A lot of the beginning shops, they in the end they didn't have much business know-how. They I wasn't they just somehow got a license and somehow opened the door, and all these years later they're struggling. They didn't grow, and I think that these towns that are putting these shops in place and the state overall, and I know myself, I want to see as many of these businesses thrive and grow and do a great job. I don't want to see failure in business, and I mean, I'm sure it's inevitable, but I wanted to plug the article for this month, The Great Green Hope, and I'll just read kind of what it's about. So
who wrote it?
It's by Emile Noel Provost.
Okay.
And it says a few economically disadvantaged cities and towns in Massachusetts have streamlined the process for cannabis companies to set up shop and launch worker education programs, welcoming the industry, as well as the jobs, tax revenue, ancillary businesses it brings with open arms. So that's the cover story of this month.
It's funny you mentioned that because when the Alchemy League women were here, they talked about, we don't know. They just started an educational program in October, I believe, of 2019 to help those economically empowered. They just started an education program to say, here's how you can run your business. Here's how you do this.
The
Here's
social
how
equity
you do.
program.
They just started that.
It's different than economic empowerment.
Okay, thank you.
Two separate programs, but yeah, that's a great thing. They're providing training,
right?
Business advice, things like that to these companies that need a leg up.
Yeah. So again, it's the speed of the process that perhaps frustrates me the most, and I know it frustrates a lot of people.
I was talking to Ben Gelt, who we're friends today,
Mm-hmm.
and mentioned.
Did Worcester? Didn't Worcester have a business journal thing yesterday?
He was in town for something like that.
Okay,
yeah. But we were just discussing the social equity aspect, and we spend so much time thinking about the business owners that are going to be having an opportunity through the social equity conversation. And he was mentioning that he felt like, and I agree that like social equity is about the communities. It should be about the communities themselves, I think. And maybe we're missing that point, like in the sense that like yes, individuals and maybe minority groups overall have been hurt by these archaic laws, but still have their families and the communities and these towns. So how is it that this new social equity program is how is that going to trickle back to the communities themselves and not just individuals looking to do business? I mean, it's awesome that some folks like we had on here before are now have an opportunity that maybe they wouldn't have had to do some business and make some money. Right. But what about the communities themselves that have been affected by these laws?
Yeah.
Well, the social equity program, entrepreneurship is only one track. They have different tracks within the social equity program. So entrepreneurship track, you're getting support to start a business, to get a license, to open a marijuana establishment. Mm-hmm. On the other tracks, like cultivation or manufacturing, they're training people to take jobs, at these businesses. So that's one aspect that they're
I
training.
guess I'm thinking, like, is their money going to go to the?
Well, that's what the positive
like,
impact.
taxes
That's
or
what the positive impact plans should be for. Like, obviously, 3%, the local tax revenue does go into the general fund of that municipality that they can do what they want for their local community. But every marijuana establishment is supposed to have a positive impact plan that outlines exactly how, when, where, how much.
And wouldn't
they're
it be
gonna
great if that
contribute.
money went to these communities versus somewhere
well, that's the intention
not
of them, and a lot, same with the diversity plan. We heard at the Cannabis Control Commission meeting today that the required diversity plans, it doesn't look like they're being implemented when you look at the diversity numbers around the breakdown of who's getting licenses and who's working in the industry.
Yeah.
So I got to ask both of you, as one of our most divisive articles with the most comments we did this past year at cannabis.net, just on your own opinion, should towns that ban or is it called a ban anymore, do not allow cannabis in their town, should they receive state tax revenue, because it all goes into a bin like the lottery, from cannabis sales?
Absolutely not.
Wasn't asking you.
Sorry.
I mean,
it hurts. It hurts when to hear it. It's Old Testament type. No, you can't do that. Go ahead, Hillary.
I'm torn on that one because on one hand, it doesn't sound fair, does it?
No, not at all.
But on the other hand, like the residents of that town, nobody deserves to be left behind, and like a rising tide should lift all ships, and like these are people, these are our neighbors. Just because the local officials or a small majority of the population said no to this, doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of people that want to benefit and want to be able to have it enrich their community in some way. They're just kind of elbowed out of it by that local control.
That's a good answer. Rich, you're on the spot. That's a good answer.
I guess I'm just thinking there must be some examples in the past of other policies that led to taxes that led to, there were state taxes that the money was then allocated to the whole state.
So actually the lottery is like that in
where
Mass.
There were towns that said we don't
lottery.
like it,
and they get the money.
I think that if we look at historically, this goes to everybody, no matter what their attitude is.
The answer from states, this state, at least Massachusetts, was it would be almost impossible to figure it out.
Yeah.
And like same thing, there are a few towns that ban lottery tickets, but they get their whatever quarterly check for whatever megabucks and
makes
whatever
me think of Colorado Springs, which for as many years as legality has happened in Colorado, still does not have recreational cannabis, and they're like the holdout there.
And you're up to $1 billion in tax revenue for the state, a little over, I guess, from recently. So Colorado Springs got that money. I mean, people are really angry when they even think about it. Like you said, it doesn't seem fair, but you're right. The small majority, if your town said no at 51%, those 49% who said yes shouldn't be. Or do they?
But think about how much more tax revenue the towns that said yes are getting. They're getting 3% of all the business.
Right.
Plus maybe some more that we don't know about it if it's outside the scope of what's the host community agreement. But that's gonna add up for those towns that did say yes and give them bigger windfall.
Good answers. Very nice people we have in studio today.
Very
nice people tonight.
Hillary's becoming a star, and I'm psyched.
No one's angry.
Soon enough, I'll be out of here, folks. Okay, so the demo can go down a little bit. I understand. One of the biggest frustrations I've had, and I've railed about this on this show and on my In the Weeds podcast as well, is there's no public service campaign that is pro-cannabis. So you're relying on people to learn about this plant on their own. Everything they hear from the media that they have access to is about what the industry is doing wrong, how they screwed this up or screwed that up or this fine or that fine, rather than the stories about Stephen Mandilli, who stopped taking, he was on 47 opioids and he got rid of all of them through cannabis. There's thousands of those stories. Do we ever see those stories on the news? Do we ever see those stories or profiles in the various media outlets that are out there? That's what pisses me off, because I want balanced reporting. I want balanced content. Okay? By the way, it's a lot harder to do a soft story and a good news story than it is a bad news story. It goes back to human. Let's face it, we work as hard as we have to, and that's just the nature of the beast here.
I wish there was a pro-cannabis media out there.
Yeah. Yeah, subscribe, share, like, please, something like that. Go ahead, Rich.
What are some ideas that you think that are not? What is not there? Like, what is it that we could be doing? I mean,
educate the public about.
Because in Colorado, they do have, like, you go into dispensaries especially, but lots of different locations. They have all kinds of pamphlets and all kinds of educational material that's like required by law from the state.
And they're there here in Massachusetts too. But that's an opt-in. You have to go and make the effort in the dispensary, which means if you don't have a medical card, you're not going in. If you want to learn about it, you go to an adult use facility, and you can certainly do that. But my point is broadcasting and mass media. You are still the public is still reacting to 80 years of false propaganda about the evil weed that cannabis is, as opposed to how perhaps if they hadn't prohibited it in 1937, half my family would have died of cancer.
Right.
Sorry.
It is kind of just word of mouth right now, I guess, still. It just kind of sucks.
What's that?
Other than you and the work you do.
Thanks,
you're doing a great job.
Well,
it is like individuals trying to educate individuals, and a lot of us that are speaking about this to maybe new people that are ignorant about it, like, we're not necessarily pros either. So, yeah, it would be great to have, like, experts having that information feed.
We had dinner with Dr. Ryan Zachlin last night, and I said, you've got an opportunity to educate the public through what some of the benefits are. Explain what the endocannabinoid system actually is to humans, because it's in all of us. And when you tell a prohibitionist that they actually have this system in here that's waiting to be engaged with THC and CBD, they look at you like, oh, you're crazy. You're just pushing to something. You're just a nut. Well, I'm nuts, okay, because I'm passionate about this, because I see the benefits of this plant. And I hear these stories about how it saved people's lives and changed people's lives. This is my frustration.
I think you're right. It's easy to kind of forget that we live in like a cannabis bubble.
Right.
We're following it. We're reading all this stuff. It's like most people aren't that deep into it, so we're in a bubble, but that's why we're here.
Yeah, but I will say we're normalizing, right?
Yeah,
right. We're all doing it,
right?
But to counter what Hillary just said, I think Alabama and Mississippi approved the measure to vote. So I think this November, and I looked at the map, and you see Jeff Sessions, and you see Mississippi. I go, that's the beginning of the end right there. If those two go medical, like, come on, Mississippi and Alabama, like, it's like, what's left? I mean, what
as we know about Louisiana,
right?
Louisiana now has a medical program, but it's kind of a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Although Arkansas is like on fire.
Oh, they are.
The numbers of shops are out of control.
Missouri's going.
But
Oklahoma too.
A buddy of mine does a big hemp facility in Tennessee, and I was kind of asking him, well, you must have everybody in Tennessee must buy hemp products, and he was saying more like he thought like 20% of the population is really educated about CBD.
Right.
That's just CBD.
Right.
In Tennessee. So how many of them are educated about THC? Probably like 5% or something.
Well, and then, of course, let's get educated about THCA and CBN, because the plant has hundreds of chemicals
minor
in
cannabinoids.
It. Right, these minor cannabinoids are in there.
And terpenes and flavonoids.
And we're sitting here throwing these words out, and I guarantee you 90% of the people that are watching today or listening to us don't have a clue on what we're talking about.
Sometimes I think like actual television, we've got so many hours and hours of stuff that you could watch on television.
Can we stop talking about the
why don't we have a channel that educates people about, health,
wellness,
essentially, like all the time, that's paid for by the government? That would be nice.
No. I don't want anything to do with the government.
Okay. Well, who's going to pay for it? Like,
excuse me.
Who do we trust to put that out there?
The people who understand. Well, first of all, the industry is growing. It should be an industry
for better or worse
station. It really should be. That's really. I mean, you look at the NCIA, the National Cannabis Industry Association, out of Washington D.C. They're the lobbyist group. Eventually, all the people that are in this business will be members of that association, and controlling your story. This is, by the way, it's been pitched to the NCIA. I just want you to know we are partners. Oh no, we are partners with the NCIA. Actually, making it work now is this. We're just starting this, right? But they're awesome.
So the wheels are in motion.
Yeah, but they're going slowly, but they're going in the right direction. And I think that is very important. And there's now what also is happening, not only here in Massachusetts, but in other places. There's a lot of backbiting. There's a lot of people who are just trying to make that buck and make their, humans, we are imperfect beings, okay? It's just how we're wired, okay? What's in it for me is what everybody wants to know immediately. It's just how we are wired, okay? But if you take a step back and you look at the whole picture, and that's really what I'm trying to do in this industry, is get them, everybody needs to get together and work together, not separate, and we'll see this happen. It may not happen in my lifetime, but it will happen in your lifetime for sure, because you're the youngest one in the room, I think.
I mean, we're way closer than we were 5 years ago.
Yeah. 100%.
Let's assume it'll be twice as fast in the next 5 years to get even more together.
And Mitch McConnell and his farm bill, he had no idea what kind of a Pandora's box he was opening by signing on, by getting CBD legal.
Yeah,
right?
but you can bet that he's got investments in the hemp industry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gee, do you think anybody else in politics might have money in the hemp? Or I'm just
moving
saying.
a lot quicker.
We got
Anyway.
we got about 30 seconds.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
How do they get in touch with you, Rich?
How do they get in touch with you, Rich?
Richard.Guerra, Guerra at sensymag.com. And yeah, we've got awesome events coming up this year. We've got one next month, September. That's not a month at all.
No,
February 11th at Sonia, pretty much the Middle East. We're doing a Sensi Connect B2B event. In Cambridge, yeah. Bringing a bunch of our advertisers together with other business owners and industry professionals.
Are you inviting the City Council of Cambridge too?
Not yet. We are talking, and as a matter of fact, we are Hillary and I are doing some city council work in Cambridge. We're doing decriminalized nature Cambridge, as well as decriminalized nature across Massachusetts.
We're moving in the right direction.
And nature being psilocybin, ayahuasca, DMT, that kind of thing. Plants.
We'll talk about pro-psilocybin media in a little while. Anyway, hey, Richie Guerra, thanks so much. Great to see you. Hillary King, welcome to the team.
Thank
Kurt
you.
Dalton, as always.
Great show.
Mike Zotos does the directing here and the technical stuff. Dan French helps me out and produces this thing.
Thanks,
I want
guys.
to thank all our guests. That'll do it for another edition of Weed Talk with Kurt and Jimmy. I'm Jimmy Young from Pro Cannabis Media.
And I'm Kurt Dalton from Cannabis.net.
See you next time.
Happy 2020. Oh, I got it in there.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.